look in the National Football League. Quiet, covert, private is the way to go. There's almost a kind of weird, it's not analogous to military, but military is far more important than football. But there is sort of a military sense with football that you got a playbook, you keep it quiet, you don't lose that playbook, and you're part of a real brotherhood. And that's why in the NFL, if you're in the front office, talk less, always. So Mike Mayock is a nice guy, he's a broadcaster, and John Gruden, I get along with John, he's a broadcaster. But these guys are long-time television personalities. And I said this last year with John Gruden. Stop talking. You don't need to perform anymore. When you're on television, I'm paid to perform. Be theatrical, give you strong opinions. That's what I'm paid to do. Once you're a football coach, you have to get out of that former TV thing and almost go the opposite way. From engaging to extending a conversation to giving me more than I need to reeling it all in, walking to a podium and saying on to Cincinnati. You just don't hear the best front office people in the NFL talk almost ever. Howie Roseman, Philadelphia, great. I never see him talk. Chris Ballard. You just don't see these guys talk. So Mike Mayock, like Gruden, comes from a long career in television. Now those two guys are running the Raiders. And Dan Patrick had Mike Mayock the other day talking about that trade that got him Antonio Brown. Here's the tape.
I kept saying, we're not interested, we're not interested, we're not interested. And then the Buffalo thing fell through that Friday. And one of their guys reached out to John, and John reached out to me, and I called Kevin, and Kevin said, would you trade your 2? And I said, no, but, we might trade our 3. For a 3 and a 5 at that point, we were ready to say, okay, it looks like free agency's got to change for us.
Okay, now, Joy, tell me if I'm overreacting. Isn't that a private conversation?
Yeah, you don't really want to reveal what swayed you and how your strategy was and when you didn't want someone and then you did.
And because doesn't that make it look like Kevin Colbert, GM of Steelers, came and Mike swatted him away and Mike got what he wanted? It makes Kevin Colbert look like he lost this sort of transaction. And by the way, it's incidental. Mike's not trying to do that, but Mike was performing. Mike was being a guest on a show. It was a good question. It elicited a great answer. That's what hosts should do. Good for Dan. But that feels like a private conversation, and people aren't going to want to do business with you if they think your trades are going to end up on radio and TV shows.
Well, look what just happened with the Lakers and what a disaster that was. In general, when you are moving pieces around, and these pieces are human beings and they have families and they're attached to fan bases and have spent years in a particular place, and you have a fan base you're responsible for as well, you want to keep the inner workings of how those deals are done very, very private.
It's like a family. Like there's certain times, your family, my family, we just keep this in the house. It may be discipline with one of our kids. It may be a fight you have with your spouse. We're just going to keep this in the house. Nobody in the neighborhood needs to know about this. That doesn't mean it was a terrible situation. It doesn't mean it's illegal.
Or the wrong decision.
It's just sometimes just keep stuff in-house. And in the NFL, we got a history here. That's the opposite of what the Patriots do. What would Belichick do? He wouldn't talk about another GM, the phone call. That's just a private conversation. And I'll say this. I said this with Gruden last year. Gruden last year was performing. And listen, I worked at a company for 11 years. It took me about a year and a half to get it out of your head. Not that you have grudges, but when you go down a hallway for 11 years and then you go down a different hallway, if you're in a marriage for 15 years and then you get out of the marriage for the next year, you're in habits and you're trying to kind of unravel and unpack the way you did things. And I just think they have 2 TV guys who are now in an NFL situation and they just talk a lot all the time. I want to talk about Odell Beckham Jr. So Jerry Jones owns the Dallas Cowboys, and Jerry Jones was asked about the New York Giants trading Odell Beckham Jr. Here's his reaction.
I'm a big football fan. I'm a Browns fan because I'm from Cleveland. We took a fantastic wide receiver out of your division, Odell Beckham Jr. How you feel about that?
Thank you.
Now you got to watch your back.
Well,
we're coming for you.
I agree with that, and I'm so behind the Haslams and what they're doing there in Cleveland.
Beautiful.
And I'm really, when you're in a league, you really want the competition to be there.
Yes, Odell Beckham is going to be really good in Cleveland if he can stay healthy. Here's the thing. For all you New York Giant fans, I see everybody taking sides. So glad Odell's gone. What are you doing? I can't believe you traded Odell. Giant fans, you want to get better? Root for Odell Beckham to be great in Cleveland. Not good, great. So good he's got 15 touchdowns. So good the Browns win the division. So good you can't cover him. So good Baker Mayfield, MVP finalist. Why? It will validate finally to the Mara family, we got to get rid of Eli. You want Odell Beckham to go to Cleveland and blow the league up. Do Randy Moss with New England. Set records. Because in New York right now, your issue isn't trading Odell. It's that your owner and your GM are trying to convince you Eli still got it. When you add Odell to Cleveland and they blow the league up, all you Eli Manning critics can go, told you. Told you. Calling right, calling wrong next.
Folks, this is like hardcore competition. Everything gets amplified. This is a major. The stakes are higher. And the emotion